Okay, I have some notes here that I'll be referring to, but I will post these in the description area below the video. What I've done is I've taken a piece of 12 by 12 cream colored cardstock and I've cut it. It is 12 across and I've cut it at 5 7/8 inch because I want to form pockets that are 1.5 inches. So when I'm ready to put this in the book, I'll have these little pockets here. Now the book covers themselves, they measure 2 7/8 across by 4.5 inches. And so in order to make the pages just slightly smaller than the book cover, I'm going to fold and score just slightly smaller than those measurements. So what I want is my pages, my inside pages, to be 4 3/8 by 2 3/4 across. That's just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the book cover itself all around. So I've cut my two pieces of 12 by 12 by 5 7/8 inch cardstock and scored and folded them. So my first piece, I've also added my score tape. This is going to be attached to the one side of the book cover. This is going to be attached to the other side of the book cover. And so I don't need this extra 1 inch piece here, which I'm going to cut off now. I wanted to leave that on though to show you that we only need the one that is going between the two sheets. This one is going to attach to my next piece. And I have a piece of score tape here. I do like to burnish my score tape down really, really well with a bone folder. If you have a Teflon bone folder, these are really super handy. So I'm going to go ahead and you see how easy it is to pull the paper off. I'm going to go ahead now and line this up. I do not want to cover that fold, or otherwise you'll have trouble with it folding if you cover the fold. I'm just going to line that up straight, push it down, and don't worry about this showing on the other side because we're going to cover it with paper. So now you see I've got the score tape on this side, which is going to be attached to the front, and the other one's going to be attached to the back. So let me burnish these down really, really well so I can pull them off. I think you'll find that if you do this even on red liner tape, you know how hard that is to get that plastic red liner off. If you do this first on red liner tape, that red liner will come off really, really easily. So let's see. Yep. So there we go. I'm going to fold this up the way it's going to need to be folded. And you can see this is going to be the inside of the book where my score tape is. So I'll have the front of the book this way, and I'll have the back of the book that way. So let me go ahead and do that for you. So I'm just going to remove the liner from the tape, and I'm going to stick that down to the front. And I'm going to, I need to open that up just a little bit. See if I can't get that lined up very neatly. Try to center it as best as possible here. There we go. And again, I like to burnish that down really nice and neat. And these Teflon bone folders are really nice because they don't leave a shine on the cardstock. They're a little bit pricey, but they're well worth it. And then we're going to add the back. And so I will take this liner off. see if I can't, let's see if I can do a little bit of maneuvering here. I want to really get this lined up, get the book pieces lined up together. I think that's pretty good. So, could be a little better. Let's see if we can get that off just a tad bit. See how that helped me not get that stuck too far down. Let me try it this way. There we go. Let's see how that closes up. Yeah, it's nice and straight. Okay, even better. So let me just remove this tape. I should have gone the other way. There we go. All right. And I will go ahead and burnish it down again really well. Okay. And then for the pocket edges that are still open, I will just take some white glue and put along the each of the parts that are open and glue those down. It'll be here on this edge here, here on the two center pieces, and then again on this edge just to hold it down. The other ones don't really need it. The fold of the paper kind of keeps those in place. Now I'm not going to do that because I will probably want to perhaps maybe decoratively punch this edge before I completely fold it over. And I also would want to place my decorative papers down first before I glue over. Otherwise I might have to, do some notching or something, and that's just unnecessary added work. So as soon as I've got it all decorated, I'll come back and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, my book's all finished, and I have taken pictures of each page and each tag that I prepared for the inside. You can see on this side, this is where that extra piece got folded up and formed pockets here. And I used a decorative fan punch from Martha Stewart to do the edges. And most everything was distressed with my blending tool and vintage photo distress ink. I also wanted to point out that I used this product called liquid pencil from Daravan, and what it is, it's just liquid graphite, and you can take a tiny little brush like this here, just a small tip brush, put a little bit out on your palette and pick it up. And where I particularly used it was around where I used the same color or similar color to color my little miniature dress form, and I gave it a nice shadow, so that brings it out and sets it off from the background, even though the colors are very similar. The other thing I wanted to point out with this little dress form came out of this set called Miniatures Shape Set, Ladies' Choice. There's all kinds of good shapes in here. There's shoes and corsets and old-timey gloves and hats and so on. But this was the perfect size for this small book, and I colored it first with this polished coral from DecoArt, and it's a creamy type of paste, and you can just pick it up on your finger and rub it across the chipboard, and you don't have to prime the chipboard or anything. So I colored it with that first. I added a little bit of Gold Rush to it, and I used my my vintage photo just to give it a bit of an antique edge. And the other thing I did was I wanted to give it a hammered look. Let me see if I can get in close and let you see. You see the sort of looks like a hammered look on there on the see if I can get that to focus. There we go. Okay. All I did was before I glued it on here, I just did one of these numbers with a ball tip stylus and just did that over and over and over until I liked the effect, and then you get this hammered look. This is from the miniature bookplate set. These are all a much smaller size and worked really particularly well for this size book as well. And what I did was I found a word in the papers from Graphic 45, and I liked fashion. That sort of describes what this book's all about, is fashion. I could have used a lady's diary, but they were mostly too big for the cover, which I have. Let's see, I have that. That's a bit large to use on the cover. I didn't want to cover up the beautiful crackle effect and the engraving on the front of this. I wanted the cover to show. So I cut that out and glued it to the back, and then I used some of the Ranger glossy accents and let it dry. And what I did was with this one, I used the Cosmic Blue metallic luster. And when I added a bit of the distress ink from the vintage photo distress ink, it sort of gave it this sort of an aged look, and I glued that down. And then this is just a little metal embellishment. One other piece that I used in here that I want to point out before we go directly to the photos is this one here. I had thought about putting her on the front. She is from the vintage ladies silhouette set, and as you can see, there's all sorts of sizes in here, and I picked one out that sort of had a similar dress, more in tune with the time, and which is 1912, I believe. They're pretty much honing in on fashion-wise, and where some of these dresses look more Victorian or pre-Victorian, even Victorian, and maybe even earlier than that. So, and what I did with this one was I simply used the black shimmer DecoArt metallic luster and just rubbed that over until I liked it and glued it down. All of these tags were cut from a Sizzix scallop combo tag set. It's one of the originals. It's very, very old. It's got the red color to it still. So what I will do now, in the interest of time, I'm just going to I've taken photos of each page, and I will post those next, and you can look at those as fast or as slow as you'd like to. And you see how the book is accordion folded. And what I like about accordion folded books is that you can display them. You sort of fan them out like so and display them on your shelf, and you get to see quite a bit of your book that way. And if you want your front of your books to show, you can sort of fan it like that, and you'll get this sort of effect when you're displaying it. So let me go, and I want to thank you for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed my project. Please give me a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to my channel. And as always, I appreciate your support, and thanks for watching. So off to the photos.